Welcome to today's program. I am with Dr. Michael Youssef. Many of you hear him on K-Wave and the other stations, and he has an extraordinary book that's just come out that I think you will find fascinating. But first of all, Dr. Youssef, thank you for being on the program.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me, Dan.
Now, I'm an African American. I was born in Nigeria, believe it or not, of missionary parents. You're an African American.
That's right. I tell people that I'm an African American, true African American, born in Egypt out of African parents.
So tell me a little bit about your early life. Where were you raised in Egypt?
I grew up basically in the very middle of the country, where it was a Christian haven for 1400 years. Every time the persecution heats up in the north, in Cairo and Alexandria, the Christians would escape and come to the middle of the country until it became a real oasis for 1400 years of Islamic rule until 1958, when Nasser came on the scene. He built a university there in 58 in order to change the Christian character of that city, that province. It's one of the largest provinces. And so I grew up in a Christian home that traces its heritage of Christianity, 2,000 years. But I'm a third-generation Protestant. My ancestors, of course, were all Orthodox, belonging to the Coptic Church. But now there are about 1 million evangelicals in Egypt. They belong to all denominations: Presbyterians, Methodists, Pentecostal, and so on and so forth.
For people who don't understand, they hear the word Coptic. We heard this horror story of the 21 Coptic Christians. What is the difference between a Protestant and a Coptic?
Well, the word Coptic actually applies to a Coptic Orthodox or a Coptic Catholic or a Coptic Evangelical.
So it means like indigenous.
It means Egypt.
Yeah,
Listen to how it got corrupted. You know, it was Coptic, Egyptu, Egypt. That's how it developed in the language.
I see.
But it's mean Egyptian.
Yeah.
And the Christians use it to distinguish themselves from the Arabs.
So the Coptic Christians are more into icons and this sort of thing?
In the Orthodox Church, yes. But of all the Orthodox churches around the world, the Russian and Greeks and others, they are the most evangelicals. They have Bible preaching on a regular basis. They are more Bible oriented than the other Orthodox churches.
Yes, yeah. We've been watching the incredible situation in Egypt, you know, with Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood, and then as an Egyptian no longer living there, how have you been depressed, encouraged, or what?
Well, it's both. I can get depressed when I see the savagery and I see the bloodshed and I see the horrific way by which they kill people, whether they burnt a Jordanian pilot alive or they beheaded people, slitting their throats. That is, you cannot help it. You can easily get depressed.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I would get a letter from, and I get them on a daily basis, from a Muslim in North Africa and Middle East who are converted to Christ. Some of them were militant Muslims, and yet they became really followers of Jesus Christ at the cost even of their own lives. They know the price. And so that lifts me up. That encourages me. So it's a mixed bag.
With many of the Muslims, I understand that they have dreams of Jesus. Do you have any of those stories?
Yes, absolutely. There are many of our viewers. We have a television station that goes in there 24/7 called Kingdom Sat. And some of the viewers would say, you know, I had a dream or a vision of Jesus who said to me, I love you, I died for you. And then they turn to our channel and then they learn about Jesus. And they said, oh, you are teaching about the one I saw in my dream. So God is using all kinds of opportunities and all kinds of means by which He makes Himself. He promised not to leave Himself without a witness, and He's doing it even in the middle of the terrorism.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So tell us about your book. What's it called and why did you write it?
Sure. Jesus, Jihad, and Peace is my 31st book. I've written 30 books before, but I consider it to be one of my most important ones because as I get to this, my 67th year, I begin to look around historically, then go back to the scripture. I am not then what you call a end-time preacher. I want people to get saved now and then to make it to heaven. But I found something fascinating with the similarities between the Antichrist in the Bible and the Muslim Mahdi, or the guided one, or their Messiah. And the way they view and the way they anticipate the Messiah to be is very similar to what the Scripture says about the Antichrist. And so I began to write this book on Islam. As I said, it's not my first, but with an eye on the end times, and could be possibly we're coming into that stage now.
Huh. Wow. So tell us a little bit about your ministry. This is very interesting. You eventually, I believe, went to Australia for a while.
Right.
And then you couldn't stand being on your head all the time. So.
Well, I went to Australia in 1970, and I was there till 77.
Studying or what?
I went to Moore College. I graduated from Moore Theological College in Sydney. I was ordained in the Anglican Church at St Andrew's Cathedral by Archbishop Marcus Sloane. And then I served in a parish outside of Sydney for a number of years. And then I came to do some graduate studies in the School of World Mission at Fuller. And from there I became the managing director of the Haggai Institute for leadership training for 9 years.
Yeah.
And from there, in Atlanta, I founded this church 28 years ago that God chose to bless.
Now, your ministry is called Leading the Way. Where did that come from?
Well, it came from a book that I wrote that was initially published only in England. It was not even by Marshalls. It was not even published in the U.S.
Huh.
And they were asking me, what do you want to call it? And I was looking on the shelf of the person who's asking me, and he has that book of mine, Leading the Way.
Yeah.
And it was published by Marshall to impact the bishops when they came for Lambeth back in the 70s.
Okay.
Particularly, they were dealing with thorny issues as homosexuality and ordination of women and so forth. So that was the book about taking a stand for biblical truth.
Yeah.
It's called Leading the Way.
Right.
So the ministry called Leading the Way.
That's great. Good. So you actually started the church in Atlanta?
Yes, with 28 adults.
Did you have like a prayer meeting? How did it begin?
No, I was teaching a class at the Episcopal Cathedral. Sunday school class, so 300 people were attending. And the believing dean was moved out, and they brought a very liberal man, and then the believer said, "We got to get out of here." So I took them and started a new church.
Wow. Yeah. So the church is called?
The Church of the Apostles. And
is it Anglican or independent or what?
We are independent now.
Yeah.
We left the Episcopal Church 24 years ago, and we've been independent, evangelical, reformed, semi-Anglican for 25 years.
That's wonderful. We're coming very close to the end, but the book again is called
Jesus, Jihad, and Peace.
And if people read it, what do you hope they'll take away?
First of all, if a believer reads it, will be encouraged to know that everything is under God's control. If a non-believer reads it, he will learn, be educated about Islam and who and what and where. But then at the end, when they come to the section on peace, Jesus, as the only giver of peace, will be offered to him and give him an opportunity to come to him and surrender their life to him.
Right.
So everybody can use that book and be blessed by it.
Dr. Youssef, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Great.
God bless you.